Well, good morning. It is August 5th, day 88 on the trail for me. And I've left the tent site. Last night, I guess it was maybe around 8 o'clock, a thunderstorm came through. It wasn't too bad. It didn't rain a whole lot, and brought some wind with it, which wasn't too bad either. But the wind lasted most of the night, and so my tent was actually fairly dry this morning. It was a little wet, but that's always nice when you don't have to pack away a completely wet tent. My tent has a separate inner, vestibule. That's not the right word. Just a separate inner mesh, and bottom. I don't know what you want to call it. Tarp. Let's just call it. Anyways, so I can separate that because it was completely dry. So I separate that from the outer tarp and carry that separately. So when I get to camp later on, I can set up the outer, let it, if there's a little breeze or whatever, I can let it dry a little bit before I put the inner on and, set up the inside of the tent. So that's nice. Today is going to be a pretty big day. The plan calls for 19.4 miles. And about 15 of that we got to get done before 3 o'clock. Because that's when our pickup is for our food drop. At Mary Joe Road. Joe Mary Road. I think it's Joe Mary Road. So, it's about 15 miles from where I am right now. So, we've got to get that done. Pick up the food. And then go about 4 more miles to our tent site. Campsite, whatever. So today, got like just one little climb. I mean, done all the big climbs for the 100-mile wilderness. It's behind us now. So we have one little climb, and then we descend off that climb, and it's a relatively, it's not a steep descent. It's not too bad, and then it flattens out, and it's going to be flat tomorrow too, I think. So that'll be nice. So I think for this portion, after we get through that one climb, now we're hiking along lakes and ponds, still through forest, of course, but instead of up and down mountains, it's lakes and ponds. And I hear that this is supposed to be part of what makes this area real special. I mean, because, lots of places have mountains, right? I got my fill of mountains in New Hampshire. But it's going to be neat to be able to walk along all those lakes and see what they look like. And never know, maybe I'll catch a moose. Not literally, but, in a video or something. That would be nice. I haven't had too many encounters with wildlife. And for better or worse. No bears, no porcupines, no venomous snakes, no moose. So, all right, well, as always, if I see something interesting, I'll grab a picture or some video. But for now, here's what the trail looks like. So, I'm in the middle of a pine forest. And that's all there is. There's the trail. This is Mountain View Pond. Don't see a view of a mountain, but it's still nice. So I'm just off the trail coming up on Crawford Pond, and this is supposed to have a sandy beach. Let's check it out. Sure does. Brook is right by a shelter area. I'm stopping for some lunch and, well, right up on a lake. So really here's this little walk down the campsite. To the lake. Unfortunately, we're expecting rain until about 2 a.m. I don't think it's going to be too heavy, but it certainly puts a damper on things. Well, it's sprinkling a bit, and I don't want to stand out there any more than I have to. Today was it was a lot of miles, but the trail itself wasn't too bad. You know, once we got over that one climb, Little Boardman, I think it was called, and then the descent off of that, and then it was pretty flat. You know, it was nice miles. Yeah, every once in a while you had to, you know, go through some mud or, you know, you had to go over a stream, but pretty well. Yeah, so this is called Antlers. I think it's called Antlers Campsite. We think it's because there's sort of some peninsulas, and if you were to look at it from up high, it might look like deer antlers, but we can't tell for sure from here. That's just a guess. All right, so we got our food, you know, resupply. So I think I had mentioned that Vireo, Sully, and I got in together and got a food drop from Shaw's, and so Poet was actually here and dropped off the food for us, and so it took our trash, which is important because we generate a lot of trash, a lot of plastic and foil packs and different things like that. And so he took the trash off of our hands, gave us our food resupply, and he had some cold drinks for us, so that was very nice of him. So I've got, except for the dinner I just ate, we've got, you know, pretty much 4 days of food. well, I guess 3.5 now. And so, you know, that's 3 more nights on the trail, and then a breakfast and snacks, lunch type stuff at Katahdin. So that's it. That's the last resupply in the north. Was hoping, you know, I was really kind of looking forward to this campsite because it's a little bit more open than the others. I was really hoping we're going to get a good night and was going to be able to look up and see some stars, but that's not going to happen tonight, unfortunately. So, still tomorrow, still a couple nights, but you know, I mean, we really are in a wilderness here. I mean, there's very few roads, there's no towns nearby, so there's not a lot of light pollution. I was really hoping to be able to look up and see the stars. Got a few more nights. Hopefully it'll work out. Tomorrow looks, I think, is an easier day, easier-ish. I think it's only like 13 miles. But again, the terrain doesn't look too bad. And okay, so that's what I'm looking forward to. Maybe sleep in until 5:30 instead of 5 and get going. It's supposed to rain all night, pretty much. So hopefully it stops raining before we have to pack up. That would suck. And I've forgotten to mention this, and it's been a while now, but I've received word about a week ago that my friend Bourbon is back on the trail. He got back on the trail back in Manchester, where he had to leave, and he's hiking northbound again. He sent me a message from Rutland, saying that he was staying at the Yellow Deli Hostel, the same place that I stayed, and he was actually at the same bar slash restaurant where I had dinner. I think it was called the Hop and Moose. So he sent me that message a couple days ago. So I hope he's still doing well and hiking north. He's got some challenging stuff ahead. I know from experience, but I have faith that he's going to be able to get through it. All right, so I guess, you know, thanks to Poet for resupplying us. I mean, yeah, we paid for it, but he still had to drive it out there, and while he was there, when he dropped us off at the trailhead before entering the 100-mile wilderness, he had a sort of a rehearsed monologue. I'll say it that way. It was that he has for the hikers that are leaving and going to the 100-mile wilderness, and part of that was a haiku, a short poem, and he recited it during that monologue. And while he was there resupplying, I asked him to recite that again. So here is that poem. It's about water, but there's a metaphor in there.
Okay, drink your deepest now, for the richest stuff settles in the final swig. Yeah, I wrote it because I wasn't purifying my water at the time, but I realized there's a metaphor going on there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You're doing one of the coolest things you'll ever do in your entire life, and whether you know it or not, for the rest of your life, you compare everything to your through hike and realize that one of the happiest times you are is when you have the least. I think that's about how it goes.
I'm really trying to drink in these last few days in Maine. If you stuck through to the end, you know I appreciate it. I will see you again tomorrow on the trail.